How are you?
Good. I just signed on there.
Perfect.
I'm a minute late, but we're good. We've got everything.
No problem. I can't see you. I can't see your camera. Is it on?
It's on, yeah. Maybe it's just the signal.
Just a second.
I can see
I
you.
don't know. I don't know if I can move mine. Um, no,
Nope. No.
it seems okay. But I don't see you anyway. I will just go by the sound. I put earphones in so I can hear you better.
Okay. No problem. Well, hopefully it records anyway where people can see both of us. So that's the main thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, things are good here anyway. And you're in
Perfect.
Cyprus on the
Yes, in sunny
north or
Cyprus,
south or whereabouts in Cyprus?
in the south side, in the Cypriot side.
Okay. Very good. And I actually wanted to ask, I was thinking, I have the topics that we're going to talk about, and then I thought, I've never actually asked you about, did you grow up there, or how did you end up in Cyprus, or maybe you're from there?
Oh, okay, so I was born and raised in Cyprus. I'm actually half Cypriot. My mother is from the UK, but my father is from Cyprus, and
Okay.
I've lived my entire life here until I was 19 years old. That's where when I finished my military service, because here in Cyprus we have to do mandatory military for 2 years. So when I finished high school, I went into the military, and then from there, after I was done with that, I went to study in Scotland, and then from there, that's where life really began, when I went abroad.
Yeah, very good. And since then, you've traveled other places, you mentioned.
Yes. Well, I first lived in Scotland with my partner Tina. That's where we did our bachelor's degree in nutrition.
Okay.
And then from there, we were very close to you in Ireland, but never visited there. But it's on our bucket list. We'd like to go there someday. And for sure, I mean, there's many beautiful places. Despite the weather not being as sunny as here, it's still beautiful to experience new locations and scenery, cultures.
Yeah. And then from Edinburgh, you mentioned as well,
Yeah.
you went to Finland for a while before coming back to.
So basically what happened was that when we were doing our bachelor's degree, we figured out that we don't want to be, specializing only in nutrition. We want to focus on the human movement side of things as well, because our passion was building in that aspect as well. And we want to be, professional in that field as well in terms of coaching. So we flew to the Netherlands, to Maastricht University, and we did a master's in human movement sciences there. And we lived there for 1 year. So it was a 1 year express course. So it was 2 years packed in one. So it was quite intense. And then from there, we were thinking, okay, we don't want to live in the Netherlands. Not like there's something wrong with the Netherlands, but we just didn't feel, that was the place where we wanted to kind of settle. And so when we finished our studies, we were like, okay, where are we going to go? We know we want to move somewhere sunny or somewhere else, but we don't know where we want to go. So we decided to go to Finland. So it wasn't somewhere sunny in the end, but it was a good thing. It was the exact opposite, right? But even back then, we were not so much aware about, the benefits of cold exposure or sunlight and so on. So basically, as we were living there, we started to realize that sunlight is kind of important. And if you're not harnessing cold exposure, it can have quite a big impact on your health, because you're basically not creating energy. You're only getting energy from the food, and that's not sufficient.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
So that's after 3 years of being in Finland and realizing that, to be able to be healthy living in Finland, you have to embrace cold exposure, because of the lack of light, we're not basically generating enough electrons, we're not getting enough UV light, and we're not producing enough melanin on our surface to go internally. So cold exposure helps us produce melanin internally, which helps us produce light internally, which is extremely important for mitochondrial function and overall health and well-being. So because of that, when we were living there, we had to do all the biohacks. This is why I believe Finland is, one of the leading countries in biohacking, because I think they acknowledge that it's absolutely crucial to do some form of biohacking if you don't have, if your environment doesn't support your health and well-being. You have to find ways to optimize your mitochondrial function, through other methods, because diet is not going to cut it alone. You're only going to get so much energy from your diet, but if your body cannot extract that energy even from the food that you're eating. You're basically energy deficient and you require energy for everything in your body. But then that anyway made us decide, okay, after 3 years of being in Finland, it's time for us to move on and move somewhere sunny and, take our business more online and, maybe do some local coaching as well. And so we decided what's the next easiest step. And because, Cyprus was my, where I lived my entire life, it was familiar to me. So I thought, okay, let's go to Cyprus because it's going to be an easy way to transition to somewhere sunnier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my story.
Wow, that's
yeah.
Cool. That's a good story. Yeah, whenever you're talking about Finland, it reminds me of what you were really helping me with. I had, I guess, at the start of this year, started learning about sunlight and the impact on your everything, your health in general, but really struggled with but what if it's not sunny here? That was my chip in the shoulder was, okay, it's easy for you, Andreas, you're in Cyprus, but I'm here. And what you taught me was if you're in that colder climate, you have to harness the cold if you want the benefits without the sunlight or without as much sunlight. And I've noticed here, people from my area have probably noticed as well, that the wild swimming, cold water swimming, sea swimming has become such a trend, in a great way. More and more people are getting out in the morning time, especially. So yeah, I guess that leads us on to one of the things that we wanted to talk about was, and what I guess in my mind makes you different from other people that I see, in terms of personal training or gym programs or even mobility programs for that matter. What made me want to work with you was because you were so well versed in that sort of quantum piece of the grounding, sunlight, also nutrition, water, cold therapy. So tell me a little bit more about how or why you bring that into your practice, why indoor versus outdoor. Let's talk about that.
So I'll tell you a little bit of a hero's journey. So the reason why, so basically what happened was, because why we made all these transitions in the first place was always primarily for health reasons, right? So we went through quite a few health struggles over the years, living in, darker climates like Scotland, like Finland, and we started to notice that we are feeling suboptimal. So it was kind of the mitochondrial way of, trying to pursue something better to, to optimize our own personal, vitality and function so we can feel better and so we can heal, because we are very in tune with our bodies. When I say we, I mean my partner and myself. And we notice when something is out of alignment, and we feel immediately, when something doesn't feel right. So we could feel that for a long time we were feeling suboptimal because we kind of had a reference of what optimal felt like. And the problem is that a lot of people don't know how shit they feel until they feel better. Yeah. And that was the case for us as well, that, once you are in that state of feeling like crap for a long period of time, you actually forget what it feels like to be optimal, and you think you're feeling fine. But when you move to a better climate and a better landscape for your biology, which is designed for your biology, or embrace practices which are optimizing your biology, if you can't move, then you will realize, okay, wow, so this is how it's meant to feel like. So the thing is, it's been a journey, a personal journey, a growth journey to try and, discover ways to feel good every single day, because if you're not feeling good every day, it's basically a day wasted. Why wait another day to feel good when you can feel good today? That's the mentality that I built, and I use this mentality in my clients as well. So in my approach, in my coaching style, I always implement these quantum health practices, which is, wake up with the sunrise, go as close to bed with sunset, try and eat breakfast, try and incorporate intermittent fasting, incorporate cold exposure, try and get your movement in, and eat seasonal foods, and don't overdo it with carbohydrates in the wintertime and all this kind of stuff, because you realize the more you implement these things, the better you feel. because it's not only about exercise and it's not only about nutrition, because the fitness industry is only telling half of the story. Why are they telling half of the story? Well, I believe one side is because they are unaware, or maybe they want to be unaware. And the other side is that they want to sell us stuff. So, they want to sell us a quick fix. We want to lose weight fast, or we want to, take a supplement like a magic pill, a magic bullet. And, for me, it's very important to provide people with value, and I want people to get the fastest results possible and as sustainable as possible, where they can maintain it for the long term, because life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And so we have to figure out, ways to balance our life so that we can make it sustainable for ourselves. So this has made me, want to bring my knowledge that I've gained over the years to my clients and to the rest of the world through social media as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I'm more versed in the nutrition side coming through kinesiology, I guess, than the fitness. And when I'm working with people, the easy route out would be like, just take this supplement, take all of these supplements and you'll be fine. But even before that, it's like your baseline nutrition, like where is that at? And there's people who are eating really well and what should work with their body, but but very often that piece of connection with getting outside, being in sync with the sun and their circadian rhythm, it's easier for that to maybe not be optimal than for that to be optimal. The way entertainment, our episodes, our Netflix, how that's all set up, it's really hard. It is hard for people to be like, I'm exercising so well, like I've put on this amount of muscle, I'm eating so well, and yet I still feel shit. It's like, because that whole, I guess, the natural rhythm of your environment is completely missing. And I get it, because it's only this year that I've really tried to incorporate that in, and the difference it makes is like amazing. It's just like your kind of upgraded self. You just feel like just a different person, really, I think.
Exactly. And what's actually happening there in this process that you just talked about, physics, rules, chemistry, like what makes things move around, what makes things magnetize to each other, like all these reactions. It's not possible for billions and trillions of reactions to occur in the body per second, just biochemically, so there must be something else greater involved. And we need to realize that the light that we are under is influencing the nutrients that are coming in. So we are determining how our physiology is going to interact with that food that we are putting in. Is it going to be useful or is it going to be useless? Because the thing is that you might be taking all the best supplements in the world and they might not be working. And you might ask yourself, why? Well, if your circadian rhythms are out of whack, if your hormones are not being released at the appropriate times of the day, if your mitochondria are not working correctly because your circadian rhythm is off, because the mitochondria are tightly regulated to the circadian rhythm, just like everything else in the body. So our digestion doesn't work, our brain function, basically everything, our body doesn't work correctly if our circadian rhythms are out of whack. So this is why being outside is so, so important. If you think about it, throughout history and before we had housing, humans never used to spend time indoors. We always used to be outside. Like every single animal on the planet is outside, under the sun, grounded, as much as possible. For example, if you think about a bird, it's not grounded when it's flying, but as soon as it lands, it's grounded. Like, we are the only species on the planet which wears rubber soles, and we are insulating ourselves from all these beneficial free electrons that we can be gathering from our environment. And not only that, we wear sunscreens and sunglasses and sunscreens and clothing. And in this way, we are blocking out, certain like valuable frequencies from the light. And when we do this, the light now is not the same light that it was without those things. It's like standing behind glass, you are distorting the type of light that you are receiving. So now it's an alien type of light. Your biology cannot understand what it's receiving. So no wonder we have so many health issues related to skin cancers as well, you know, around the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And okay, so let's say there's people listening, especially from my part of the world, and they have had help, or they're getting their fitness, their mobility, their movement is in a good place, their nutrition is working for them and it's in a good place, but they feel like there's something missing. For people in like colder, wet climates like where I'm from, what would be your basic tips for kind of getting into that natural circadian rhythm to help health?
Well, number one is always wake up with the sunrise. Because why? The sunrise sets the tone for the day. It tells your body what to do for the rest of the day. A lot of people focusing on watching the sunset, but they don't focus on the sunrise because they don't want to wake up early. But the issue is that people don't go to bed early enough. So it starts from the night before. It's a continuous cycle. At the beginning, when you start to do this, you're going to feel really tired, of course, because if you're not living in this kind of cycle of waking up early and going to bed early, you'll have to make a sacrifice at some point. Whether you're going to wake up early or you're going to go to bed early so that you can make it easier for yourself. So waking up with the sunrise is going to set the tone for the day and allow all the hormones and processes in the body to do what they're supposed to do at the correct times. When this happens, our sleep is going to be improved in the nighttime. So sleep hygiene begins in the morning. So as soon as we see the change in the color temperature of the sun, so it starts off more blue and red in the sky in the sunrise, then it turns more orange, and then it goes higher in the sky. Then we have the introduction of UVA in our eyes, and that shuts off the hormones as well. So because hormones is a very energy costly process. So when we are outside in the morning, we are able to regulate our system, and then everything else is working better. Our energy metabolism is working better. Just remember, the food that you're eating is not going to be utilized at its best if your mitochondria are not working well. The sunrise is extremely crucial to optimize mitochondrial function. And red light that you get, for example, from red light therapy panels, everybody has probably heard it by now because, you know, it's a very trendy thing now to use red light therapy. You get that from sunrise and sunset. If you use a spectrometer, which tells you the frequencies of light present outside or indoors, you can see on that it's extremely high in the red wavelength, and that's extremely beneficial for our system. So number one is start with the sunrise for sure. The next thing that someone can implement in cold and dark countries is cold exposure. However, this introduction has to be very gradual. It cannot be extremely quick. And sometimes people have to build first a good circadian rhythm so that their body can generate enough heat internally. Because there are many individuals who cannot tolerate cold. Why is this? If we have dysfunctional mitochondria, so it always goes back to the mitochondria story. The mitochondria produce heat and light. Basically, light is the heat. You know, it's the infrared light it produces water, and it produces CO2. This is the byproduct of producing energy in the mitochondria. If they are not working as they're supposed to, then we are not producing heat, right? So then we are going to be cold. So first we need to focus on building our energy system inside the body, and then introduce the cold gradually for a very short period of time, and then we want to build it up gradually. Of course, I'm not going to give like any advice on this. You need to do your own research because it can be quite dangerous for some people, especially if you've got specific conditions, you know, with your heart or something like this. So you need to do your own research when it comes to cold exposure, and you need to do it cleverly and wisely. And it's not that more is better when it comes to cold. You need to remember that your nervous system needs to accept something before it can absorb the information. If it goes immediately in a state of fight and flight, we are basically not getting the benefit of something. So the more we ease into something, the better. It's like when you go to the gym, you're not going to go and lift 500 kilos on a squat. You're going to start with 5 kilos on each side, right? So you're going to build up gradually over time. And as you become a pro over the years, then you can start to do longer periods of time. And then there is this beautiful snowball effect where your mitochondrial function is improving more and more and more. And then you're even able to tolerate even more cold. So it's just like this whole cascade of benefits that happen.
So would you say then for people, let's say from my part of the world, who have never done any sea swimming, even being out for a walk in the cold is going to be the best way to like move into that? Or would you say go up to maybe your feet or your legs in the cold for a few minutes before actually a full plunge?
So yeah, basically I think it's good to introduce it to the body gradually, as you mentioned. So the first, for sure, is just to, in general, condition your body in being outside, into outside temperatures. The thing is that, you know, modern human now is used to living indoors all the time. So we are so used to comfort. You know, we love comfort too much. We love soft things. We love temperature, no temperature changes or anything like that. So when we go outside, we feel like it's so cold. But if you condition your body from the summer to be outdoors as much as possible, from the summer all the way to the winter, so every single day you're spending outside some time, your body will adapt to this, and you will feel that it's actually not that cold, because your mitochondria are adapting with the season as well, because the mitochondria are always receiving information through your eyes, through your skin, through your melanin about the environment. It's picking up that information about the time of the year and the strength of the sun and the type of the food that exists in the environment. So yeah, you want to like ease into it gradually, as you said, with the air, just purely with the air if it's cold, then of course, then with the feet, and then of course you can have your own bath at home. You know, you can buy ice and you don't even need to put that much ice in, right? So you can start off, you know, pretty gentle on yourself, because it's the best if you submerge your body, you know, until your neck when you're doing cold exposure to get the actual true benefits.
Yeah. Okay, that's great to know. So for colder climates, if we can't get the benefit of the sun, we need to start harnessing that cold. But it doesn't have to be ice baths for 20 minutes from day one. It could be like walks out in the cold, even grounding bare feet. Like I feel like I'm cold
100%.
whenever I do that. So there's little ways to move into it then.
Yep. Grounding is super important, as you mentioned, because what I mentioned previously is that we get only a certain portion of our electrons from food, only around 1/3 of our electrons from food. That means that from our environment, we have to gather the rest, right? So if we are not outside in the sun, and if we're not grounded to the earth barefoot, we are missing out two massive sources of electron donors to our body. And not only that, about the grounding, when you are grounding, you are discharging your body. So now in our modern world, there is a huge issue. There is so many dirty electrical fields and non-native electromagnetic fields from Wi-Fi, cell towers, microwaves. Basically anything electronic is emitting dirty electricity or non-native electromagnetic fields. Anything that's wireless, basically. And our body acts like an antenna, so it absorbs that. If we ground our body in the sea, what happens is we discharge. So you know when you have an adapter and you plug it in the wall, it's got, here in Cyprus, it's got 3 pins. You've got the top pin, which is the grounding pin, and then you've got the other 2 for the supply of the electricity. Why is the grounding pin there? It's the rest of the electricity, which is left over, it goes down into the ground. When we ground our body onto the earth, that's what happens. Like it leaves and it goes into the earth, that dirty electricity, and we can come back to baseline. Because if our cells are too excited, what happens? There is too much calcium influx occurring. Calcium causes cellular contraction, right? So that's what you can use to contract your muscles. But that's not good all the time, because your heart is also a muscle, right? So you don't want your muscle contracting all the time. You don't want all your organs contracting all the time. If you are like that, you can imagine someone who is spending a lot of time indoors. Why are their shoulders shrugged up like this, right? Why are they on the edge? Even if they are not drinking coffee, it's because the dirty electricity is making them wired, as if they have drank caffeine. Yeah. So that's why grounding is so important.
Yeah, and again, back to the person who is exercising well, eating well, but still feeling suboptimal. As you say, that sort of like dirty energy, dirty electricity, it needs, what was the word you used? Anyway, there's an influx, but also an output. It's like their whole system needs to be drawing up the electrons for fresh, clean energy, but also to kind of reduce that inflammation that's in the body, which I wasn't taught about. I didn't know that before.
Well, if you think about it, like when your body is under constant stress, it can only tolerate so much. And there is also metabolic waste, right? So when we produce metabolic waste, it has to go somewhere. It's going to go in the lymphatic system. When the lymphatic system is overwhelmed, what happens? There is just too much waste around. So it's like the lymphatic system is the one that carries all the metabolic waste out of the body, and it's also carrying our immune system and also our fats from the diet. So when we become overwhelmed and we are just producing a lot of metabolic waste because our body is constantly stressed from the electromagnetic fields, what's happening is that the lymphatic system is also becoming overwhelmed, and the environment around the cells now is becoming very much like a dirty toilet. Nutrients cannot get in the cells, and then metabolic waste cannot get out of the cells, oxygen cannot get in the cells, and we have a big issue now. So that means that the mitochondrial function starts to decrease, it starts to go down, and we have lymphatic and blood flow stagnation. So this is why it's so important to be able to ground and do all these other practices and be connected with nature, because it allows us to come back to baseline, get our lymphatic system moving again, get our blood moving again, and help our electric circuitry to work as it should. It shouldn't be like, constantly bombarded and fried. We have to have times where we are working in and times when we are working out.
Yeah, great segue into the next part. Because before I started working with you, I remember seeing that post you put up, working in versus working out, and it blew my mind, because I was like, I've always wanted a term for, I guess, when I felt like I had completely exhausted the working out part. And this is what I said in my story yesterday, where I felt like I'll go to the gym, and I really like lifting weights. So any weight training I would do, I used to do CrossFit, which was super intense. The sport I play, also quite an intense sport, it's very physical. And I would sort of pendulum swing between intense output all of the time to then perhaps whenever my monthly cycle would move into its next phase, feel like I couldn't keep up with it. Like it was like complete exhaustion to then all of this energy. And I felt like any regime in terms of fitness that I had, it never took into account my period or my cycle. And I felt almost like ashamed in a way that I wasn't able to keep up with the pace that I had set for myself at the start of the month, and that I couldn't go to the gym as much as I wanted to later as my cycle would go on. And I guess what I've learned with you is this idea of like, we have to have the working in alongside the working out.
100%.
So can you tell us a little bit more about working out and working in, especially the working in part? I'm really curious about that.
Okay, so basically the concept that I created with my program, mobility workouts, the idea is that it's combining working in and working out at the same time. So I've designed the movement specifically so that they are working in exercises, but if you increase the intensity of the exercise or do more reps or do more sets, it becomes more of a working out. That's the beautiful thing. So it's possible to be scalable, and the exercises that I choose are always individualized and personalized. So I always do personalized assessments before we design the exercises. So working in general is all the things that nurture the body, right? So it's not only movement, it can be like, slow and more controlled movement, being in tune with your body, more aware of your body, working in, as the word says. So you're trying to go inside yourself and to feel, how does my body feel? Because working out, if we are pushing ourselves all the time, that doesn't mean working out in terms of training only. It means just giving of your energy all the time outside of yourself. You're constantly pushing. You're not feeling. You're not sensing. You're numb. You're just constantly pushing. Sometimes that's a good thing. We need to for sure push in life. We have to have the balance, but we also need to remember that we need to work in also. And working in is activities like, taking a nice and hot and relaxing bath, doing a sauna, being in the sun, grounding, doing a massage. Did I mention massage already? Eating nourishing foods, taking care of yourself in general, doing activities which are self-care activities, which makes your body feel really good, nice and relaxed, and you feel that you're coming back to your baseline, because it should never feel that you are swaying away from your baseline. If you are swayed away from your baseline, it means that how long have you been away from that baseline? It's okay to go away from our baseline for a little bit, like within the same day, but if it's days on end, that's when it starts to become an issue, because we're accumulating stress in the body and that turns into tension. A lot of people are wondering, you know, I do all the mobility drills in the world and I'm not loosening up. Why are you not loosening up? It's because your lifestyle is causing you to be stiff. It's not like about what movements or not you are doing. You know, are you sleeping well? Are you taking care of yourself? You know, are you making sure that you've got enough time to just sit with your thoughts? Are you meditating? You know, are you waking up with the sunrise? Are you just relaxing as much as you can when you don't need to be, you know, stressing out and not stressing about things that you can't control? And so, you know, working in is all about like putting the energy inwards and trying to nurture and take care of yourself, and working out would be the opposite. Some working in things can turn into working out if you abuse them. For example, sunlight, if you do too much sunlight and you push yourself so much and you burn yourself, well, that's going to turn into a stress response to your body, right? So that's more of a working out activity. The same is going to be with cold exposure. If you do it way, way too long, you're going to go into the sympathetic overdrive, and that's not good for your nervous system either. Same with sauna. If you do sauna way too long as well, you know, you're going to push your body into this sympathetic drive. But if you do it the perfect amount of time, you're going to detoxify your body. You're going to feel better. You're going to feel, you know, more alive. And then you're going to be able to be in a more relaxed state instead of a more wired state.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the balance between depletion and restoration, really. And knowing that we should be going between the two. I think how everything's set up, it's like there's something wrong if you're not able to push it all the time. And that's just too masculine. And regardless of, you know, who you are, it's like everybody needs to be sitting and flowing in between the masculine, like giving out, but then also that restoration, that's in as well. Yeah, just to summarize, I guess if we kind of wrap your day up, but the main things that you were talking about were hydration in the morning, I guess, before anything else.
Hydration, yes, because you want to get your motility going, you know, your gut, like everything moving nicely, and just flush any toxins out of your system.
Sunlight, fresh air, daylight to set your circadian rhythm. I guess you're starting your night's sleep, the quality of your night's sleep in the morning, as you were saying. And
correct.
And then breakfast for most, fat and high protein breakfast really for most people.
Yeah. Unprocessed.
And is there anything in terms of, I guess, before going about your day's work, like you're a movement specialist, you also talk a lot about lymph, which I love, because in a treatment, the majority of what I'm doing to kind of balance up or charge up the organ systems is lymph work. So is there anything that you do in the mornings that you notice, like, okay, that really helps me kind of get lifted up?
100%, because actually when I wake up in the morning, I'm naturally just more stiff in the morning. So I've developed a routine over the years, because I was very stiff before, actually extremely stiff, you know, extremely immobile. And that's actually what led me down the path to create these mobility workouts, because I want people to gain mobility through strength, not stretching. This is extremely important. There is a difference. So stretching passively is okay sometimes, but if you do it too much, it's actually going to tighten your muscles up even more.
Okay.
So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my routine in general. So I just do some general yoga poses. I stimulate the big 6 areas. Do you know Dr. Perry Nicholson? Stop chasing pain.
Big 6, because me and my brothers do the big 6 every morning now.
So here, then behind the ears. Then I like to do next to the eyes, behind the neck, under the armpits, like here where you have the just below your ribs, then inside your groin, and then behind the knees. And after I've done all of that, then I do the movements, because that helps to push the lymphatic system around the body. And then I just jump around. I just jump up and down like this, you know, for as long as it feels good. Probably it's around a minute. And I always nose breathe throughout the day, no matter what I'm doing, except when I'm talking right now. It's extremely hard to breathe through the nose and speak at the same time. But also when I'm training as well, it's always nasal breathing because you absorb or you utilize more oxygen when you are nasal breathing, and you use more fat as energy when you nose breathe. So that's a good reason for people to nose breathe.
Yeah, and I find that quite hard in our sessions, so I'll get you to tell people a little bit more about like how you actually work with people online. But in our sessions, which were over my phone or my laptop, you would help me do the movements that it was really difficult to remember to nasal breathe the whole time. But
yeah.
Once you got used to it, it's quite easy once you get into the rhythm of it, I suppose. It's just being aware of nasal breathing. In and out, am I right? In and out.
Yes, correct. Both ways. Because why? When you exhale throughout the mouth, what's happening? You're releasing too much carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide in the body is actually allowing oxygen to be absorbed better. You need to have a nice balanced ratio of carbon dioxide and oxygen. It's like yin and yang. It's beautiful, working in versus working out. If you have them both together, you're able to absorb more oxygen with every single breath, which means that every breath you take is more valuable. So you can breathe less air and get more oxygen when you nasal breathe versus when you mouth breathe. So this is why. And also it, what was I going to say? It hydrates the nose. It makes it nice and moist inside so that you feel that you can breathe efficiently. If you mouth breathe, you notice that your throat gets extremely dry and you feel that you're panicking, and then that's also activating your sympathetic nervous system. When you nasal breathe, naturally the breath goes lower into the lower part of the lungs. The lower part of the lungs is where the parasympathetic nervous system is found. So you actually activate the parasympathetic if you breathe deep and through the nose.
Yeah.
So you can communicate to your vagus nerve via your lungs and your heart.
So for better digestion, even for better mood, a calmness, to kind of work on that and practice that. So the mouth taping fad is actually, there's some truth behind it. It's really just trying to make that the go-to for your body rather than in and out through your mouth.
The key is that with these things that are, pushed out and they seem to be like trends on social media, they are only telling half of the story. The key is to train your body in the daytime while you are aware of what you are doing, like you're conscious, to be aware of every single thing, act, behavior, thought, breathing pattern, everything that you're doing, so that you can be in control of your life and that you are not a victim of your life. So you need to take control of your life. So how does this happen? This happens with awareness, and it happens by going inside your body and being the observer of your body and your surroundings, and not react to your surroundings, but respond to your surroundings. So this is extremely important. This puts you in control of your nervous system. You don't find yourself in this fight and flight state so easily because you are controlling your breathing, you are controlling your mind, and you are extremely calm because of those two things.
Nice. So really using the physical to impact mental, energetic, emotional aspects of your life.
100%.
So I guess to finish off, Andreas, tell me, well, I know, but tell anybody who's like, I like this guy, I like what he's talking about. How can people, I guess, who aren't local to you work with you, and what do you offer people?
So I do online coachings worldwide. Wherever you are in the world, it's accessible to everyone as long as you've got a screen, a computer or a laptop. And what we do is I have a series of different programs and packages on the website. So I've got nutrition coaching. So if you just want a nutrition plan and you want to fix your nutrition, we can do just purely that. Then I offer the mobility workouts, which we talked about with Maria. And I also offer lifestyle optimization plans as well. So the lifestyle optimization is everything to do with your lifestyle. We have a very nice discussion and consultation about all the things that can be impacting your health and well-being, which inevitably impacts your performance. And it's not so that the training is impacting your life. It's more that your life is impacting your training. So if your training sucks, you need to look at your lifestyle. So remember that if you're not having good workouts, look at your lifestyle. If you have a good diet, then you might need to look somewhere else, because once you stack all the fundamental aspects on top of each other, circadian rhythms, sleeping, hydration, all of this kind of stuff, nasal breathing, being conscious and aware of your body, and then you've got the nutrition, and then you've got the exercise, then you've got like a perfect structure, right? And things are rarely going to go wrong in that way. But anyway, you can reach out to me, and I offer free consultations. So we can have a first free initial meeting where I can get to know you, your goals, your ambitions, your capabilities, because every single thing that I offer on my website is always personalized to the individual. And I also offer recordings for the exercises that we do in the mobility workout. So after we've done the session, you get the recordings of the explanations of the exercises so you don't forget how to do them. And you can practice them anywhere, because you don't actually need to be working out inside. You can work out outside if you want. And you can basically take your body anywhere, because your body is your greatest gym. And we can discuss how we can implement all of these things with your gym training as well. So it doesn't need to be exclusively that. I also do gym workout programming as well. So I have one option on the website, which is the name is online coaching, and you can choose that. And I can make you a gym program too. So it can be just a written program with the amount of reps, sets, exercises, how much rest to take, and so on. And also I will record you the exercises as well in the gym, so that you know how to do the proper technique also. So that's how you can work with me. And to find my website, you can just go to the link in my bio, and that's how you can work with me.
Nice. And I guess how that looks for someone. Oops, sorry.
It's okay.
How that actually looks. So let's say I work with you for mobility, but you helped me integrate that in with the gym program that I already had.
Yeah.
Plus, then I actually got sick halfway through working with you, and then I had a session which was like lifestyle health optimization, and really, I guess you were amazing support for me to know how to like get back to basics, really. And thank you again. Get back to basics, nutritionally, like how to support myself through illness, not severe illness, thank God, but through sickness. And then very gently, like how to start integrating in a little bit of movement, a little bit more and more and more. So yeah, I mean, for people like me, it really, you kind of work around what we're already doing and
Yes.
what we need. So it can be as little or as much as we
Correct.
want. And it's been invaluable. So thank you again, Andreas.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate it. And basically, I always do it personalized to the individual and your lifestyle. So if you already train 4 days or 3 days in the gym, then we can figure something out, for you, and we can implement some mobility workouts in there as well. They can be as intense or as easy, depending on what you tell me and what your desires are, because I can customize the workouts and the exercises and how many reps and sets and rest periods according to what your goals are. So we can always make it work out. And additionally, if you have physique goals, if you want to, lose fat, build muscle, and so on, I also offer that type of support as well. So whatever anybody requires, we will always make it work out based on our free initial meeting at the beginning. You tell me exactly what you want, and I will lay out for you a specific plan with, how often we're going to do our sessions online, and afterwards you're going to get advice from me, or either in a written PDF format or just in general advice to start implementing slowly, and we can carry on from there so that you can become the best version of yourself.
And alternating, I'd add, changing things up according to the cycle as well, which was massive. Like that was the first time I had ever worked with someone who was like, here's what you're going to do over your blade. I don't want you to do this or that. Start with this, and then we'll move into that. So for anybody who feels really tired during that, it's like, no problem. Like everything is adjusted for your physiology and your health in general. So thank you so much, Andreas. I hope that people get the message and see this as something really different, because that's how I experienced it. And thanks.
Thank you so much for inviting me on this Instagram Live. It was awesome. I really enjoyed it, and it was so nice to share, this space. And I'm really grateful that you have had such a great experience with me. And this is what I want for all of my clients and my friends, because I consider you as a friend. And I want like everybody to have the best results possible and to feel great, because I feel like I've been put on this planet to spread my knowledge and my awareness and to bring balance back to a centralized system. We need to make it, more balanced and more decentralized.
More yin, more yang. That's what I say.
Correct.
Say that, but okay. Thank you so much, Andreas, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a nice evening. Your evening time.
Let me tell you something.
Yeah.
You see these lights. We have in the house. We have the UVA. You have the UVA lights on there, and we have the infrared lights on. So this is extremely important. If people want to optimize their lighting indoors, of course you need to take out all your blue light bulbs. Considered as white light bulbs. If people don't know what blue light bulbs are yet, it's like everything that's white is basically blue. If you put it next to a red light bulb, in contrast, it looks very, very blue, because that's how the brain works in terms of perspectives. It likes to see like the two opposites. And so why we use those two frequencies is because when we are indoors, we are missing those under artificial lighting, and I'm trying to bring the sunlight indoors. I know it doesn't replace the light, and nothing will ever replace the light, but it's the best that we can do to mitigate the impact of living an indoor lifestyle. And right now I'm currently standing while we're doing this talk, because I want my lymphatic system and blood flow to keep on moving, and I feel that my brain functions a little bit better as well. So I hope everybody enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
Great tips. So cool. Right, I'll chat to you soon. Thanks again.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Bye.
Have an awesome day. Take care.
You too.